Tonight on CTV News, rocks and bricks dropped off a downtown bridge onto vehicles below. Two teens charged after being chased down by a driver. Bike lane debate, the transportation minister at odds with mayors.
We're having these conversations with both Edmonton and Calgary and identifying bike lanes that obviously don't make sense.
And the snowbirds put on a show.
We'll take a run at some record highs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday looks hot too.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. A court in Ontario has ruled legislation giving the province the power to remove certain bike lanes there is unconstitutional. That ruling isn't stopping Alberta from meddling in bike lane decisions in its major cities. As CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports, the transportation minister wants to make sure cars take priority.
This notice on an apartment building warns tenants bike lane construction is coming to 113 Street, part of about 40 new kilometers of bike infrastructure being built this year and last. A city spokesperson tells CTV the expansion of the active transportation network will not only support Edmontonians today, but will continue to support generations to come. The 113 Street project seemingly represents the kind of bike lanes the province doesn't like.
We hope that both Edmonton and Calgary, their city councils, will understand that bike lanes should not take over driving lanes.
Transportation Minister Devin Dreeshen met with Calgary Mayor Jody Gondek today. In recent months, Dreeshen has suggested the province could intervene in municipal bike lane projects it takes issue with, possibly through legislation.
Obviously, we don't want to have to go down that route, but we'll see if we have to. But right now, we're having these conversations with both Edmonton and Calgary and identifying bike lanes that obviously don't make sense.
If a bike lane is causing any concerns with congestion or parking, our traffic team is open to reviewing and making any necessary changes.
The Ontario government recently brought in legislation giving it the power to remove bike lanes deemed to contribute to gridlock in Toronto. A court has ruled that legislation unconstitutional. In his decision, Justice Paul Chabas says the evidence is clear that restoring lanes of motor vehicle traffic by removing the bike lanes or reconfiguring them so they are no longer physically separated from cars will lead to more accidents, injuries, and deaths.
It's my understanding that the Ford government's actually planning to appeal that decision.
The minister plans to meet with Edmonton City Council on the topic soon. Mayor Amarjeet Sohi says bike lanes offer a safe and sustainable travel option, one he supports. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A 14-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl are facing charges after rocks and bricks were thrown off a downtown pedestrian bridge onto cars below. At least one vehicle was hit. Police are looking for anyone else who may have been struck. Narman Issa joins us now from near Grierson Hill, where this took place. Narman, the charges include assault with a weapon.
Yeah, well, Jeff, police say that these teens were charged because of how serious their alleged actions were. So police say that rocks and bricks were thrown from this overpass, and a driver whose windshield was hit managed to get out and detain the two teens before police arrived. Now, this incident happened last Friday in the area of Grierson Hill near the funicular pedestrian bridge between 3 to 4 p.m. In a statement to CTV, EPS says these were young people making a foolish, dangerous choice and not fully grasping the consequence of their actions, adding, "We're fortunate this didn't result in serious injuries or worse." In 2002, 75-year-old school bus driver Robert Stanley was killed when a boulder was dropped from an overpass onto his bus on White Mud Drive. Two teens pleaded guilty to manslaughter in his death. Police investigated several rock-thrown cases last year, including objects thrown from the 53rd Avenue overpass on the White Mud Freeway that hit several vehicles below. No one was seriously hurt. Now, EPS is encouraging any other possible possible victims or witnesses to come forward to help out with their investigation. Now, as for that driver, the 41-year-old man, he was not hurt in the incident. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Nariman. That's Nariman Issa live for us downtown. In Calgary, police arrested an 11-year-old boy accused of holding up a bus driver in an armed robbery. Police say just before midnight last night, the boy threatened the driver with a knife, demanding his phone. The driver was able to de-escalate the situation before the child ran off with some cash. Police say he joined a group of teens waiting outside the bus who also ran away. Investigators believe the group robbed a liquor store earlier in the night. Police say the 11-year-old has been released to his parents because children under 12 cannot be charged under the Criminal Code of Canada. A new space is open at the Edmonton airport to help survivors of human trafficking. Experts say this is one of the fastest growing crimes in Canada, and airports are key locations where victims may be moved through. CTV's Nicole Weisberg reports.
A calm, comforting space tucked away in an undisclosed location at the airport. Equipped with a bed, couch, bathroom, and kitchenette, it offers everything a person may need as they access help.
It takes an average of 7 times for a trafficking victim to have the courage to step up and ask for help. So when they do, we have to be ready.
Paul Brandt is best known for his country music hits, but in recent years, he's turned his attention to the issue of human trafficking. In 2017, he began championing an initiative called Not in My City, raising awareness and facilitating training on the signs of trafficking.
Now, over 20,000 people across the country have taken the training. A number of our partner airports, you can't get through security if you work at the airport unless you've taken the Not in My City training.
The training goes hand in hand with this new safe room. Airport staff can discreetly bring someone here to get help from agencies such as ACT, the Action Coalition on Human Trafficking Alberta, and police.
I think this is empowering people. This is ensuring that they know the signs to look for, they have the proper training, and they can step in and actually save a life. And that could be the difference.
At a partner airport in Calgary, YYC, we started a safe room with the idea that maybe it would be helpful, but maybe this is going to be something that's more symbolic. We've used it so much, they're building a second.
The Edmonton airport also has signs indicating help is available. They include the yellow rose, a symbol of the Not in My City campaign.
Most trafficking victims don't even realize that's what's happening to them. And so a part of this, I would say, if you're in a position right now where there's force or fraud or coercion, you're being forced to do something you don't want to do, take a look at what we're doing through Not in My City. It might be a trafficking situation, and there are resources and there is hope.
Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Tomorrow is the last day to get a free COVID-19 vaccine in Alberta. The province is pausing the program to prepare for the fall rollout. It says a new formula will arrive by October, offering the best protection against the latest strain of the virus. Most Albertans will have to pay for the vaccine. The province hasn't said how much it will cost. You can begin registering for your dose Monday, August the 11th. Edmonton Public Schools has named its new superintendent. Ron Thompson was introduced at today's school board meeting. He's been part of Edmonton Public Schools for 25 years as a teacher, principal, and most recently as the assistant superintendent of schools. He says the number of students and spaces for them are two of the biggest issues he'll have to deal with this year. A potential teacher strike is also something he could be dealing with.
My first priority will be to familiarize myself with our contingency plan and work with our leadership and our team downtown here to ensure that we're ready for the new school year.
Last month, the Alberta Teachers Association released the results of a strike vote showing more than 94% of teachers were in favor of striking. Members of the Kingsway Legion have delayed a decision to determine the fate of its building following a special meeting last night. Earlier this month, the Legion's president said it is barely making ends meet. Members were asked whether they want to lease half the building to bring in more money, put the building up for sale to find a smaller, more affordable property, or keep the property as is. The Legion says the decision to table the motion was made in order to gather more information. That information is expected to be presented by the end of September. Edmonton's Heritage Festival is returning for the August-long weekend. The festival showcases a wide range of food and entertainment from all across the world. This year, there are 67 pavilions. New additions include Senegal and Somalia. Organizers say it's the world's largest three-day celebration of multiculturalism.
It's a festival that brings the world together. It brings the community together. It gives the community an opportunity to meet and engage with all of the cultures that make up Edmonton.
It's my first time here in Canada as well, and it's my first time here in this festival, and we are very excited about the coming up events.
The festival takes over the exhibition grounds and Borden Park Saturday through Monday. Organizers expect it to return to Hawrelak Park next year. Admission is free. Edmontonians got a show on the sky from the Snowbirds late this afternoon. The Canadian team performed a non-aerobatic show above Louise McKinney Park around 5:30. The team captain said since there is no air show in Edmonton this year, the team wanted to take this opportunity to show its appreciation for our city. The Royal Alberta Museum says more than birds are flying through the skies of downtown Edmonton. Through the spring, the museum placed an ultrasonic microphone and bat detector on its roof to find out if there were bats downtown. The detector picked up 2 different species, silver-haired bats and hoary bats. One museum curator says they were probably traveling over the city on the way to their breeding grounds. He says while some people think of bats as scary, their presence is actually a good sign for people and the environment.
I mean, I hope people would hope there's more bats in downtown Edmonton dealing with mosquitoes and dealing with other pests that also play their role in the ecosystem, but hopefully there's fewer of them. I wouldn't say we're going to be overrun with bats in downtown. It still doesn't meet a lot of the criteria that those animals need, but it's nice to know that we haven't completely destroyed the ecosystem.
He says while it's hard to tell exactly how many bats flew over the Ram, they had multiple detections over more than a month. The city's preparing to hand out water bottles as temperatures rise. The city has activated its extreme weather response. It's meant to keep vulnerable people safe during hot weather. Anyone needing to get out of the heat can go to open city facilities where water bottles will be available. Access to water is also available at 28 water stations across the city.
We work with agency partners and Homeward Trust to ensure that they're spreading the word to clients and people accessing services to know where they can go to get help or water or access resources.
The response is expected to last until Saturday. The city could extend if the high temperatures persist. You can sign up for Edmonton's extreme weather alerts online. Yeah, perfect timing for Josh to come in. You mentioned weather records, Josh.
Yeah, we'll be a lot closer to record highs over the next couple of days than the average daytime highs. Tomorrow's our best chance at tying or breaking a record. Talk a little bit more about that in a moment. It's 29 degrees outside Edmonton right now. 26 to 28 for areas just outside the city, and a little bit of a breeze at about 15 kilometers per hour in the city. It'll be in the same territory tomorrow, about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. We get to 29.8 for a daytime high today. So we'll round that up to 30, but technically this won't be our 6th 30-degree day of the year. We'll get numbers 6 and 7 for the year tomorrow and Friday, maybe even an 8th on Saturdays. Saturday still looks pretty hot. 24, the average daytime high. Heat warnings in effect for all of northern Alberta, and as we mentioned yesterday when it was just northwestern Alberta, yeah, that warning got extended well off to the south and east. Edmonton, east towards Lloydminster, Red Deer, and areas off to the east and southeast, all looking at daytime highs 29 or hotter and morning lows in the mid-teens. In fact, here in Edmonton could be even upper teens for morning lows over the next couple of days. We've had some scattered thunderstorms in through the foothills, and there was one little isolated thunderstorm just north of Cold Lake. Looks like that's now starting to weaken as it pushes off into Saskatchewan. None of that will roll through the Edmonton area. Our next best chance at seeing some thunderstorms comes Saturday night. So for tomorrow, a lot like today, 17 degrees in the morning, 30 or 31 with some sunshine tomorrow afternoon. The record high is 31.3. So we'll take a run at that. Talk a little bit more about that heat, which does stick around into Saturday, but departs by Sunday, Monday, later in the newscast.
Thanks, Josh. After the break, federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's political career in the hands of Albertans.
Those values guided me to fight for the values of this region.
While some candidates and commentators say the battle for Battle River Crowfoot is far from over. Also next.
They just decided that in the wine business, we're going to punish small producers like myself.
BC calling out Alberta for bringing in a booze tax just as provinces try to break down trade barriers.
programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
By-election day in Battle River Crowfoot is approaching, one day after 10 of the more than 200 riding candidates took questions from constituents. Experts say the race could still go several ways. The outcome could determine the future of Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's political career. Connor Hogg reports.
Beautiful day. Thanks for coming out. Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre made a grand entrance in Camrose at the Battle River Crowfoot by-election forum. Many experts agree the race in the highly conservative riding is Poilievre's to lose.
My Alberta values taught me about faith, family, and freedom, hard work, helping your neighbors, and those values guided me to fight for the values of this region.
Poilievre's predecessor, Damien Kurek, resigned his seat so the federal leader could run after losing his own Ottawa-Carleton riding in April. Being an out-of-towner is something critics and other candidates are pouncing on.
I firmly believe that Monsieur Poilievre is too busy with his own personal ambitions to give a rat's backside about us.
Anger was also directed at other interests impacting the race, including people from outside the riding.
Did you happen to notice how many hands actually went up when I asked how many people in the crowd could vote? Not very many.
And a group that's added hundreds of names to the ballot.
They're just trying to steal enough votes through all of them that they can wipe him out.
Some are asking how big of a victory Poilievre needs before his January leadership review.
If he beats me, are we doing this again in February?
Others are questioning the strength of Poilievre's campaign.
His confidence at running in the riding, if he has to bring in supporters, if he has to run in a riding that's the second biggest margin of victory in the country.
Despite the Conservatives' Get Out the Vote campaign, political scientist Laurie Williams says this race will likely be decided by who heads to the polls on the day.
It's a very busy time of year for farmers, ranchers, and those who provide goods and services.
By-election day in Battle River Crowfoot is August 18th. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Elections Alberta has issued a former Conservative MLA's petition to prevent Alberta separation. Thomas Lukaszyk's Alberta Forever Canada petition asks, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? Elections Alberta says the petition must get nearly 294,000 eligible signatures by October 28th for the question to be considered in a referendum. Only registered canvassers can collect signatures. Earlier this week, a competing question was sent to a judge to make sure it doesn't violate the Constitution. The proposed question is whether people agree with Alberta becoming a sovereign country and ceasing to be a province in Canada. Elections Alberta says a decision on that application has not been made as it is before the court. BC wine producers are accusing the Alberta government of playing hardball with what they call a tax grab. Ron Kubek of Lightning Rock Winery in Summerland, BC, says sales from Alberta customers have dropped. He says it's because of a new levy brought forward by the Alberta government this spring. Any bottle of wine that costs between $15 and $20 has a 5% rate applied against it. If it's between $20 and $25, a 10% tax is added. And any bottle more than $25 has 15% added. That's on top of a flat tax of $4.11 added to every liter of wine sold in Alberta.
But they just decided that in the wine business, we're going to punish small producers like myself, 3,200 cases a year. We're going to punish them, and we're going to punish Alberta wine drinkers who go, you know what, we don't mind buying Canadian. We know that it costs more in Canada to do business.
The province says the tax is meant to support the long-term viability of Alberta's liquor industry. ATB Financial says Alberta restaurants have reason to be optimistic, with more Albertans choosing to dine out this year. Economists looked at restaurant sales data released by Statistics Canada a few days ago. Compared to the first 5 months of 2024, year-to-date restaurant sales in Alberta have grown by more than 5%. ATB believes that's because of population growth, more Canadians traveling domestically, and an increase in American travelers to Alberta. Some restaurant owners say while now is a good time to be in business after some rough years dealing with the pandemic, inflation, and economic instability, celebration is restrained.
some people are definitely still feeling the effects of the pandemic. I think most of us are, but it's a huge relief to be where we are. I think a lot of people have learned to kind of, as you do in life, you kind of learn to ride the waves, you kind of learn to navigate, you learn to adapt.
Economists predict restaurant and bar sectors will hold up relatively well for the rest of 2025. Coming up, a musical display of pride in Canada's police force.
You see how much dedication, hard work goes into it, and it reminds you of like the members that do the same thing every day for us in the RCMP.
The RCMP's musical ride returns to Edmonton as part of a summer tour around the province. Also next.
We hope we get lots of fans come dressed up.
A sequel to a 90s classic has the Edmonton Riverhawks celebrating Adam Sandler.
3 more days with daytime highs up around 30 degrees, and then a little bit of a cool down for Sunday, Monday. Some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for the weekend as well. Full look at that forecast after the break.
Programming brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
The RCMP's musical ride troupe will perform in Edmonton tonight. The iconic troupe is traveling across Alberta as part of its summer tour. 32 officers and their horses will perform drills to music. Organizers say the officers in red are a classic Canadian symbol.
When you're doing it, just how perfect it is. You see how much dedication, hard work goes into it, and it reminds you of like the members that do the same thing every day for us in the RCMP.
A sold-out show at the Whitemud Equine Learning Centre starts at 7:30. The tour will hit nearly 20 locations in Alberta by the end of summer. There may be a few Boston Bruins jerseys in the stands when the Edmonton Riverhawks hit Remax Field tonight.
My name is Happy Gilmore. 30 years ago, I decided to give golf a try.
With the recent release of Happy Gilmore 2, the Riverhawks are hosting an Adam Sandler night. The team will also touch on classic Sandler movies like The Waterboy and Billy Madison. Tonight's game includes an Adam Sandler look-alike contest.
We enjoy when fans come to the ballpark and kind of participate in our theme. So the classic Adam Sandler, like baggy shorts, big t-shirt, scruffy beard kind of look was what we're aiming for. So we hope we get lots of fans come dressed up.
Riverhawks also partnered with the U of A's Student Union to organize a game of dodgeball on the field after the game. You need to be 18 or older to take part in that.
And they do it right down there at the Riverhawks.
Yeah, it's a lot. I was there for a country and western night a couple weekends ago. It was great. Just fantastic. Yeah, sheep on the field. Players didn't mind.
Real twang on the ball when a home run was hit.
Extra twang.
Take a look outside right now with the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace fixed right here. It's free. 29 degrees currently in Edmonton. And blue skies, as we mentioned earlier, 29.8. We'll round that up to 30 for a daytime high today. Look at Fort McMurray got to 32. 32s as well. And high level, Peace River. There's a chance you're up around 34 degrees in high level tomorrow afternoon. Dave and Jasper hit 31. Red Deer at 26. You'll be a little closer to 30 tomorrow. We talked about this last night. There might be 1 or 2 isolated thunderstorms up around Cold Lake. We did see those pop up. They've now weakened and started to move off in Saskatchewan as well through the foothills. And this will be a recurring pattern for the next couple of days. You're going to see clearing through the overnight period, and then in the afternoon, showers and thunderstorms bubbling up. But they will all stay in the foothills and not really track east of the foothills very far. Heat warning in effect for all of northern Alberta, Edmonton, south through Red Deer. Calgary technically not included in this, but areas just off to the east of Calgary and through east central Alberta are under that heat warning. Again, daytime highs 29 or hotter, and morning lows in the mid to upper teens. Watch those thunderstorms fizzle out as we head through this evening in through the foothills, and then return tomorrow afternoon through basically the same areas. Here in Edmonton, most of the province, sunny with a few clouds through the day tomorrow. Those thunderstorms may actually track into northwestern Alberta late tomorrow night, and the same goes for Friday. Again, through the foothills, you'll see some showers and thunderstorms pop up in the afternoon hours, and then I think some of these sneak into the Whitecourt, Swan Hills, Slave Lake region for Friday night. But all of that likely avoids the Edmonton area. Our next best chance here in the city to see some showers and thunderstorms comes Saturday night. It will still be hot Saturday. A couple days ago, it was looking like Saturday could be a little wet, but there's your upper ridge, this pocket of warm air in the mid and upper levels in the oranges. There's Friday. Here's Saturday. Look, it is still there Saturday. It's not until Sunday, Monday that it starts to break down, and so that'll give us a better chance of seeing some showers on Sunday. Although even Sunday, the latest runs of the models are not pointing at heavy, steady rain in the Edmonton area. It's more like scattered showers now, the way it's shaping up. So we'll keep an eye on it in the coming days, but it doesn't look like a complete rain out at this point. 31 in Fort McMurray right now. It's 31 as well in Grand Prairie and Peace River. 32 in high level here in Edmonton. Again, 29 degrees and fairly light wind. Should be about 5 to 10 kilometers per hour through this evening and overnight tonight. 25 degrees at 9 p.m. We'll drop to about 17 for a morning low tomorrow. So really no relief from the heat through the overnight periods the next couple of days. 30 or 31 for a high tomorrow. Again, the record is 31.3 from 2021. So we'll take a run at that record tomorrow. The records for Friday and Saturday are in the 33, 34 range. So those are safe, but we'll get to about 31, maybe 32 on Friday. Still up around 30 Saturday. Then that chance of some thunderstorms Saturday night and a chance of some scattered showers Sunday with temperatures back in the low to mid 20s for Sunday and long weekend Monday.
Thank you, Josh. Coming up, a quake felt around the world.
It's almost impossible to describe just how large an earthquake of this magnitude is.
The largest earthquake in modern history sends tsunami warnings rippling across the Pacific, including an advisory in Canada. Also next.
New U.S. tariffs are having profound impacts.
A new tariff announcement and no trade deal in sight as the Bank of Canada exercising caution in its interest rate decision.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada will officially recognize a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly this fall. He says the prospects for a two-state solution have eroded and calls the level of human suffering in Gaza intolerable.
This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reforms, including commitments by the Palestinian Authority's President Abbas to fundamentally reform its governance, to hold general elections in 2026 in which Hamas can play no part, and to demilitarize the Palestinian state.
Carney says Canada will increase its efforts in supporting strong democratic governance in Palestine and the contributions of its people to a more peaceful and hopeful future. Carney made the announcement after speaking with Canada's allies in recent days. A local hospital says gunfire and airstrikes killed 46 people in Gaza in the past day, most of them in crowds trying to get food. Shifa Hospital in Gaza City says the deaths include more than 30 people who were seeking aid. It says 12 people were killed when Israeli forces opened fire toward crowds waiting for trucks. Israel has said it takes steps to avoid hitting civilians and its actions are justified as self-defense. Meantime, the United Nations World Food Program says unless conditions drastically improve, it could officially declare a famine in the Gaza Strip.
So this tells you that these are very rare, very serious events, and we need to respond now at scale.
If declared, it would be only the 5th famine this century. Donald Trump is hitting India with higher tariffs and a new penalty for its dealings with Russia. Trump says he'll impose a 25% tariff on goods from India. He also says because India purchases military equipment and energy products from Russia, enabling the war in Ukraine, he'll be imposing an additional penalty as of August the 1st. He has not said how high that will be. The Bank of Canada is holding its benchmark interest rate for the 3rd time in a row. The central bank says it's in a holding pattern, along with the rest of the country, until there's clarity on the trade situation with the United States. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
Uncertainty over the future of the Canada-U.S. trade war is clouding the economic outlook in this country, prompting the central bank to again hold its key interest rate at 2.75%.
Growth in spending by Canadian businesses and households is being restrained by uncertainty, and new U.S. tariffs are having profound impacts on directly affected sectors.
Today, this country's top banker said future inflation projections hinge on the outcome of the ongoing cross-border trade talks.
The tariffs have a permanent effect on the economy unless they're removed.
The decision was widely forecasted by the big banks, but came as a shock to Ontario Premier Doug Ford. He said staring down the economic uncertainty, it's never been more important to stimulate growth, and called on the central bank to cut interest rates now. How would you respond to that?
Look, we take our decisions independently of the political process. We are going to make sure that an inflation problem, a tariff problem, does not become an inflation problem.
That tariff problem only growing today, with U.S. President Donald Trump announcing 50% tariffs on certain copper imports, citing national security. The sudden announcement adding to the pressure Prime Minister Mark Carney and his cabinet are facing. With the clock ticking and no new trade pact in sight, economists say there's a lot riding on Canada getting a good deal.
That's why I think, you're seeing Canada sort of running the clock.
Though Trump's envoy to Canada still thinks there's a chance of an agreement by Friday.
It's Wednesday today, so you've got at least 48 hours and maybe up to 72 hours, but a lot of things happen at a close of a negotiation.
That time for Canadian companies like Algoma Steel is of the essence. Today, the company suspended its dividend after posting major losses, saying tariffs played a large part. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
As Canada-U.S. trade talks get down to the wire, the Prime Minister updated his cabinet today on how negotiations are going.
The trade negotiations with the U.S., as you know, we're seeking the best deal for Canadians. We have not yet reached that deal. Negotiations will continue until we do. Minister LeBlanc and senior officials will remain in Washington in pursuit of that goal.
Canadian business leaders and academics are calling for free trade negotiations for most goods, even if some sectoral tariffs remain. Montreal father accused of killing his 9-year-old daughter will remain behind bars in the United States. In an appearance in a New York State court today, Luciano Fratolin pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder in the drowning death of Melina Fratolin. Fratolin took his daughter from Montreal on a trip to New York earlier this month. Police say he made up a story she was kidnapped. Her body was eventually found in shallow water. Fratolin is expected back in court August 19th. His jury trial is scheduled for January. Investigators looking into a deadly crash between a passenger plane and U.S. military helicopter in January say the chopper was flying higher than it should have been and its altitude readings were inaccurate. Today was the first day of National Transportation Safety Board hearings into the crash in Washington. The crash over Ronald Reagan National Airport in January killed 67 people. It was the deadliest plane crash in the United States since 2001. One of the strongest earthquakes ever recorded sent tsunami warnings across the Pacific, including along the BC coast. The 8.8 magnitude quake hit last night in eastern Russia. CTV's Andrew Johnson has more.
It started with shaking in eastern Russia, and within hours, one of the largest earthquakes in modern history triggered tsunami warnings and evacuations in more than 20 countries.
It's almost impossible to describe just how large an earthquake of this magnitude is.
In Japan, millions of people were told to evacuate to higher ground. Some were seen moving to the top of tall buildings. In Hawaii, the rush to evacuate clogged roads.
It's an easy thing. Get away from the beaches, get inland, and get upward.
The tsunami risk on Canada's west coast was lower, but still enough to trigger a tsunami advisory. The province warned of strong waves and currents that could cause flooding. In Tofino, on Vancouver Island, beaches were closed. Water levels ended up rising less than half a meter.
It's not even just a wave, it's more like the tide coming in, and it keeps coming in. Even if a wave is half a meter, it can continue inland to much greater elevations.
BC's emergency management minister says alerts were not sent out to cell phones, but would have been if the advisory rose to a warning level. The premier says the system worked as expected.
The province, local governments, regional districts all work together to ensure people are safe. It was a good trial run for us. So if we do see a major event in the future, we know we have a system that should work to deliver that warning.
Experts are calling this a wake-up call for people to think about their personal preparedness in a province overdue for a major earthquake much closer to home.
The BC Wildfire Service says evacuations in the Lytton area are very scary for the community after the village was destroyed by flames in 2021.
There were reports of ashes falling in Lytton last night as an example, and so for those that have been working hard to rebuild their homes, those who are looking to continue to come home over the next number of years, certainly a lot of concerns that I can imagine that they're facing.
Officials say heat, terrain, and winds are making firefighting efforts harder. The Cantilever Bar fire now spans 4.6 kilometers since it was discovered Monday. Fire crews are showing up through the day and night to contain it. Thousands of fans and mourners lined the streets of Birmingham, England today to say a final farewell to the late Ozzy Osbourne. Osbourne's wife Sharon and his family were met with cheers from the crowd as they added flowers to a growing memorial for the Black Sabbath singer. Osbourne's casket was driven through his hometown ahead of a private funeral service. The singer died last week at the age of 76. Coming up next, Health Canada warns of drug shortages.
It's very unbearable. It really is.
Albertans unable to fill prescriptions left in a painful situation. Also next.
I still dream of the combat and the things I saw.
A former child soldier now living in Alberta shares his hopes sharing his story inspires others to appreciate their community. Looking at the markets, the Canadian dollar is sitting around 72 cents U.S. Oil is up around $70 U.S. a barrel. Gold saw a $28 drop. On the stock market, the TSX lost 169 points. The Dow Jones down 171. Health Canada is warning some prescription painkillers may be unavailable because of an ongoing drug shortage. While some people may be able to use alternatives, one Southern Alberta man says this leaves him in a tough position. CTV's Jacqueline Wilson explains.
It's very unbearable. It really is.
A workplace accident in 2020 left Tony Heimbrock with chronic pain.
I fell 14 feet onto the concrete floor.
Since then, the Okotoks man says he's developed chronic migraines and a heart issue. While working, he used 2 to 3 Percocets a day. Now, because of a drug shortage, he says he's holding on to his last 2 pills.
I just sort of keep very low-keyed and try not to do anything and participate in life anymore. And it shouldn't be that way.
It's not just in Alberta. Canada is experiencing a nationwide shortage of both acetaminophen with oxycodone and codeine from manufacturing distribution at Teva Canada Limited. Health Canada says the situation is expected to improve by mid-August, but supply constraints are expected to continue until the end of September.
It's really helpful for us if patients are on these products that they call us before they're completely out of their medication to give us a bit of time to figure it out. They shouldn't panic. There are some alternatives that can be figured out for them.
Unfortunately for Heimbrock, other health issues leave him unable to use most alternatives.
If they had known that there was a prescription shortage in that medication, then some people can get by on other pain medications.
Howden thinks more suppliers and better communication about shortages can help prevent situations like this in the future.
One thing that we are seeing trends in here in Canada over the last decade or more is more single source or only dual source products. And what that means is you get one shortage of one manufacturer and all of a sudden you have no product available.
Tony Heimbrock hopes to get access again soon so he can get back to a more active and pain-free life. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
A think tank focusing on dementia says Canada is falling behind other G7 countries when it comes to supporting people with the disease. A report from the Brainwell Institute says Canada is lagging when it comes to prevention, diagnosis, and end-of-life care for people with dementia. The report found that in 2019, the average wait time from the onset of symptoms to receiving a formal diagnosis is up to 28 months. That's compared to days or weeks for diagnosing diseases like cancer. The Institute says it's concerned that with an aging population, the number of Canadians living with dementia could rise from 770,000 to nearly 1 million by 2030. A former child soldier living in Red Deer is sharing his story of survival.
I still dream of the combat and the things I saw.
Honey Benny Dow's experience as a child soldier is still fresh on his mind more than 30 years later. Now, he's put his story on paper in a book he wrote about the journey he took from a war-torn country to central Alberta. Dow says living in Red Deer offers easy access to Edmonton and Calgary, something he doesn't take for granted.
So that had been my favorite, actually. to be able to be in the middle of those two big cities and be able to participate with my community like I am close to them. Because I cannot live without community.
His book is available at Audrey's Books in Edmonton, the Red Deer Museum, and on Amazon. Red Deer Polytechnic is hosting a series of summer art workshops. There are 4 week-long sessions available. Participants can stay on campus at the RDP residence. One option is bronze making, where artists can gain hands-on experience pouring bronze into molds. Organizers say they've become one of the leading summer art programs across Canada.
It's a provincial, kind of almost a national profile program, but it does, Red Deer has been traditionally a hub of artistic activity. Certainly its history has been very, very supportive to the arts.
The artists showcase their work on Thursday nights and host a silent auction. Proceeds from the auction go towards scholarships for students. Coming up, a little push leads to a trip across the pond.
He was producing such a quantity of high-quality works that it was a shame to just have them sitting around the house.
An Alberta artist's personal painting receives international attention.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you tonight on CTV.
An Alberta artist is back in his home province after heading to England to display a piece at a major London exhibition. 350 artists from 60 countries participated. CTV's Kevin Fleming has more.
He's a retired geologist, but has painted all his life. Now Stephen Bend has more time to explore his abstract art, but what he learned as a 4-year-old has stuck with him.
It was my aunt who corrected how I would hold the pencil, hold the paintbrush, and I remember telling me, you've got to load your paintbrush, and she even taught me how to put 2 or 3 colors on one paintbrush.
Ben submitted this piece that he painted for his wife Phyllis called Passion Ascending. He did it in secret over 5 months and says it's a celebration of their love and passion and being together for almost 46 years.
I had one interesting interaction with one of the curators, the lady, who said that, this was one piece that really spoke to her.
The whole adventure was sparked by his son Christopher, who pushed Stephen to submit some of his work and share it with a larger audience than just family and friends.
He was producing such a quantity of high-quality works that it was a shame to just have them sitting around the house. And so it originally started with just me sending him a few galleries on Instagram, really small ones, castings for artists.
Ben says he was filled with emotion when he learned his painting had been accepted into the London Art Biennale 2025.
The curators stated that they had 10,000 submissions and that their basic criteria was that all the pieces were going to be of museum quality, which means that, they perhaps belong in a gallery in some way. So that was intimidating, and that held me back from submitting, and it was, again, because of Chris pushing and pushing and pushing.
Now Ben says he enjoyed attending the opening event in London so much that he's working on a piece to submit for next year's Biennale in Italy. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Canmore.
All right, Josh, 31.3 is the record for tomorrow.
Yeah, from 2021, we'll be really close. We'll get to about 30 or 31 for a daytime high. Again, just like today, sunny with a few clouds and relatively light wind, about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. 31 or 32 on Friday. The record is 33. I think that's safe for Friday. Saturday, we're still close to 30. We'll get some clouds, though, in the afternoon. And then Saturday night could see some showers or thunderstorms. Sunday, mix of sun and cloud to mostly cloudy skies. There's a pretty good chance that we'll see at least some showers. It's looking less likely that it'll be really heavy, steady rain, though. And then Monday should be drier in about mid-20s.
Sounds great. Thanks, Josh. And thank you for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, visit ctvnewsedmonton.ca or the CTV channel on YouTube. See ya.
Thanks.